Glim Dropper this week. Great to have him back in the studio. They've got a brand new album out. We're going to talk about that in just a couple minutes. The name of the album is called Heartsick Phenomenon, and we'll talk about that and what they've been doing since the last time we talked to them. Also want to remind you, we are streaming 24/7, so you can download the apps for free. Just go to the respective stores and type in YLN. And then also, don't forget, we have a newsletter that Mike puts out. Just send us an email at contact@yourlocalnote.com. And then also, we do a weekly update that you can check out too. All of that and more on yourlocalnote.com. All right, the first song that we're going to feature off the album is the title track. It's called Heartsick Phenomenon. This is Glim Dropper on yourlocalnote.com. The song is called Heartsick Phenomenon. It is Glim Dropper, and this is yourlocalnote.com. Guys, welcome back. Good to have you.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you kindly.
All right, guys. Let's talk about this song, and then we'll start talking about the album Heartsick Phenomenon. Who wrote it, and what is it about?
Well, like a lot of the tunes, it was a combination of me and Dan.
Mm-hmm.
I came up with basically like the chord changes and the form,
right?
And then Dan fleshed out the melody and the lyrics, and so we take the Page and Plant model on some of the songs in this album.
Okay,
and that was great because it was a more collaborative than the first record, and that I was really excited with the results.
Okay, why did you pick this song as the title track of the album?
Gangster title.
Okay.
Yeah, cuts to the heart.
It kind of sums up the rest of the songs. After I had the monumental task of a lot of these songs, even when we went into the studio, did not have lyrics to them. Mm-hmm. So it was kind of trying to draw a continual, path through the songs. And once we got them done and they were all, flushed out, that song sort of summed up the entire mood of the record.
Okay, very nice. Did you guys record this at a studio, or do you record it yourselves?
We did the basic rhythm tracks at a studio in East Norriton, Pennsylvania, called Morningstar.
All right.
Which has been a mainstay in Philly for over 30 years.
Okay.
They're at a newer location now. We did the basic rhythm tracks, drums and bass there, some guitars there. And then we took the project back to Dan's place, and we cut vocals and other guitars, and and then we took them back to Morningstar and mixed them.
Mixed them there.
Yeah, and we had a great engineer with us there, Dave Schonauer, and actually Glenn Barrett, who owns Morningstar, mastered the record.
Oh, nice.
We weren't really into having it mastered at the same place necessarily. We were thinking we might have it done at a different place, but
Why would you do that?
well, our thought was always like, you have one set of ears tracking it, you have one
Okay.
set of ears mixing it, and you have another set of ears mastering it. And we did have another set of ears mastering it. Glenn really wasn't involved with the tracking and mixing.
Okay.
But we actually we sent out tracks to a bunch of mastering facilities, and we had kind of a shootout. And Glenn crushed.
Okay.
He won. It was hands
Okay.
down.
Did he feel a little, since you guys recorded there, was he a little taken back that you were putting him up, in a competition, or is he fine with that?
No, he was okay with it. I mean, he did request that, should we consider a different studio that, explain to him why and to see if he could beat it.
Okay.
But he kind of beat it right off the bat. Like, we're like,
Yeah,
well, yeah.
but he's got a lot of equipment and just his ears. He's a very flexible man.
Okay.
Yeah, he wasn't.
Glenn, you're very flexible.
Yeah, he wasn't hardline about it. He didn't bat an eyelash when we, and I think a small part of him is like, I'm going to throttle these guys, but he didn't bat an eyelash, and he was really generous about that process, and that felt good. I mean, it wasn't such a transaction then. I mean, he was really mindful of giving us a couple of different aesthetic choices.
He understood our concern. He understood our concern with going to the same studio.
Okay.
Really, because he's a musician himself. He understands. And the funny thing was, he competed against some like strictly mastering houses.
Wow.
Which that's all they do.
And I don't mind that there's 3 very opinionated people that are making the music. So, we're a lot of times I think people go into it and go, well, we're at the mastering stage and I don't know what this means. So
Let
you
them
guys
go
just
with
do it. But we kind of have an idea of, what that means, and just generally, not changing the core sound of it. I mean, mastering, to me at least, shouldn't change what we did in the first place.
Right.
It's not supposed to like supersede the sound that we tried to create in the beginning, and that's kind of where we came from.
Okay. How much different was the process for this album than the first album?
Drastically different.
All right.
The first one was done mostly in my house.
Okay.
And we mastered it and mixed it all on our own, and it took longer. Realistically, the total process took longer. Even though this process took about 9 months, the first record, even though we could work on more of our own time frame, it still took a little bit longer. I mean, we had to do a little bit more tricks, if you will, because we weren't working with tried and true equipment and methods,
and a person who does it for a living,
right?
And a room that was built for it,
right? Yeah, we were recording in kitchens and living rooms.
But the thing is, that's how a lot of bands start out.
Of course.
So to learn that process probably was invaluable as you move into the bigger studio. You're learning some stuff there, but 2, you have a better idea of what you expect from each of you. So I think that would be a process that would be a good learning process. Did the recording studio listen to your music from your first album? No,
not really. I mean, the reason that Dave, the engineer, actually, Dan and I have done a lot of session work there for other musicians.
Okay,
and so Dave, that we worked with, Dave Schonauer, he was familiar with our sound a little bit.
So there was a comfort level there.
Well, and there was a comfort level in the studio.
Right.
The ability to walk in and like already know what the room sounds like, and sort of get a feel quickly, because we really worked on, I mean, we cut 12 rhythm tracks in 2 days.
Oh, wow.
We came in very prepared.
So you felt being familiar with the studio made it easier for you to do that stuff.
Yeah, huge difference.
Well, it's nice to have somebody that is solely there to, hit record and to move mics and to say that doesn't sound right or this doesn't sound right, because when we were doing it ourselves, you can't listen and play at the same time.
You play and then sit down and listen. So
right.
From a time factor, it's better, and even probably from a stress level. It's probably took a lot of pressure off of you guys.
Yeah, well, the funny thing was when we were doing our own thing, like you'd set up. And then by the time you set up, you're tired and like, we got to go track now. We're in here. We still had to set up our gear, but it wasn't a stress thing. And by day 2, we rolled in the morning and it was like, bang, let's go.
Okay.
So yeah.
We had a great time.
We did.
Are you thinking about album number 3 being recorded there, or are you maybe thinking about let's just try something different just for another take?
I don't even know if it's a thought yet.
Okay.
I think we're thinking of something maybe live.
Really?
Just to fill the gap, because I realized that it was like 2.5 years between the first and the second record, and in this day and age when things just sort of expire quicker than in days gone by. But we're trying to put together something, whether it's 4 songs just new that we're going to do or a live something. I definitely feel that whatever we do, it should go back into Morning Star as the mixing, mastering process. Okay. Because no matter, the stuff that I did at my house, if we had just released it from my house, it wouldn't have sounded nearly as good as if we could have sent it through all of the pathways that they have. So it's a little bit more forgiving when you're at your house and you can just record at any hour of the day and you're not on the clock.
Right.
But, it says something when you can put it in the hands of somebody to sort of mold it for that final sound.
Now, you said some of the songs that you recorded for this album were not ready by the time you were going into the studio. So had you played some other songs, though, to see what kind of reaction you were getting from fans? Or were you just like, okay, here are the songs and this is what we want? And
we had played a lot of these tunes out for a while. I mean, there are a handful of brand new compositions that we were excited enough about to know that we were going to do them. And we did track some music and then we canned it. We said it doesn't jive with the rest of the record.
Okay.
Which thankfully was a really easy process. I was, it's really hard not to stress over it. It's like you're tossing someone's baby out or something like that.
Right.
And so thankfully it was actually a very non-political decision to say this music should stay and it fits with the general color of the record and this music should go.
So I guess, but you guys have been playing together for a while, so
yeah.
You have a good idea what the three of you want. So that doesn't surprise me that at this point in time in your career that you can pick out songs that the three of you will be like, yep, no, this is not happening, or yep, this is happening.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think sometimes you join bands and you're like, will there be a first record? And then, now to have the first record and to say, okay, well, cool. So the second one has to be better than the first one.
Okay.
And not like an action movie where there has to be a higher body count or something, but really like, how does that band sound? Why would people want to know the name Glim Dropper? What would that sound like? And so that to me felt more articulated.
Very good. All right, let's go to song number 2, and then what we'll do is we'll play it and then come back and we'll talk about it, okay? Song number 2 that we're featuring on the vidcast is Shanghai, and we're hanging with the guys, Dan, Rob, and Ben from Glim Dropper, and we're talking about their second album, Heartsick Phenomenon, on yourlocalnote.com.
It was a Shanghai microphone. Can't worn out for a track. If you decide to fight alone, you may never come back. Yeah, it was a Shanghai microphone. Worn out for a track. If you decide to fight alone, you may never come back. It was a Shanghai. Worn out. If you decide to, you may never come back.
The song is called Shanghai from the album Heartsick Phenomenon. We're hanging with Glim Dropper. Okay, I guess Ben and Dan, you guys did most of the writing for the music. What is this song about?
This is one of the, I think, one of two songs that I kind of came with relatively formed. The first record, Last Days of Analog, that's where we kind of started with, was songs that I had, kind of mulled over and written, and then we adapted them. This was a song I actually wrote during the recording of Last Days of Analog, so this is probably the oldest song in terms of, chronology of writing. But, Ben, maybe you should speak on the fact that you were never quite sure of what you wanted to do on this song, because it was
this. When I think of this song, I think of the curse of the demo. Dan's a multi-instrumentalist, and so he had already whipped up a complete version of it.
Okay.
And so it was basically this sort of like Wile E. Coyote situation where I would create a musical catapult to try and get over Dan's wall and smack into it. Okay. And this happened again and again and again for months, until it was so fun. It came down to the wire, which is ridiculous. I should have waited till the day before, because most of the things that you finally hear on the record are things that I made maybe within a 48-hour window of actually recording them. But for months, I'm Wile E. Coyoteing this tune again and again and again. I could not defeat his demo. Okay. Yeah. And so hopefully you agree with me.
I do. My thing was that it was a lot of the songs that I come up with are very in the moment. Like, everything comes very quickly, and I don't necessarily evaluate a lot of things. I just say, well, this is how it goes. But then I say, what else can we do with this? I mean, I just sort of turned it over. I mean, we had done, this is a song, this and another song on the record, Velvet Way to the Grave, we had played for over a year before we had ever gone into the studio. So we felt really, I felt that you felt really comfortable. I know that you were still coming up. I think the solo was probably coming together at very last minute. But
it was a solo and we have a lot of live recordings of Shanghai just from our phones or whatever that predate the album, and Ben painted a different landscape every time.
Okay.
And I think that contributed to the end result of him being like, man, this is like, I'm not sure which way to go, because there were so many different versions of a solo, from abstract to sort of, I wouldn't say pedestrian, but sort of standardized rock.
We're not talking Nugent here.
Yeah, no Nuge. Maybe some tapping and pointing, but
I said not.
But he had just gotten, I think you overwhelmed yourself, really. Yeah.
Well, there was a lot of options.
It sounds like you got caught up in reaching a goal that you weren't really sure what it was. So you would try something new every time, and you just weren't happy with that.
Well, it's funny. It's Dan's generosity of spirit was stymieing me. I'd say, "How about this?" and he'd say, "It's good." And then I'd do the next one, and he'd say, "What do you think?" and he'd say, "It's good."
Yeah, I like that too.
Yeah.
Can we do 3 different versions of this song? I don't mind. I mean, I'm already in the mindset that we have to produce our own remixes. Like, we have to have a rock version and an R&B version and a country version and a dubstep version. Like, I don't really, I don't feel that there is a wall in between any of this anymore. Okay. I just feel like, why don't we just do as many versions as we can, and whoever likes whatever the version is that people like the most is the version that will be successful. I have no shame in saying this is a song that has 6 chords and a melody, and whatever you want to do with it is great.
So, Dan and Ben, since you do most of the writing, do you each come with, you write by yourself and then come together and say, okay, let's see how we can do this, and then you bring Rob in and Rob then contributes, or do you ever sit down together and say, let's just write a song together?
Oh, that sounds scary.
Okay.
I have to hang out by myself and like geek it out and like watch cartoons and the wee hours of the night. Like,
so your songwriting processes are different then?
Yeah, well, I don't know.
Because it sounds like Dan likes to just sit down and just bang it out.
Well, right. I mean, because I can sort of throw down drums and guitar and bass and sing the parts and put these different arrangements in. I'm more of an arranger. I mean, I feel like Ben comes, prepared with a riff or a chord progression and something that's very like by itself. It's compelling.
Right.
And then
you
I kind of just say, well, let's combine it with this other idea, or I can sing this melody over it. I find myself to be, especially on this record, I find myself to be much more of an arranger. Mm-hmm. I mean, obviously, I did have to come up with lyrics, and because I have to sing them. But I wasn't against anybody else coming up with lyrics. Even I was stymied, for a while with a couple of songs, and I was like, anybody have any ideas? Because, I don't like to be stuck. It's just it's part of the game, and I'm much more in the moment of creating sort of a feng shui of songs, like keep the song going and keep the flow. I don't like abrupt or nonsensical changes in a song. So I like taking ideas and just sort of making them work together.
The first album compared to the second album, besides the recording process that was different, the songwriting process, how different was it from the first album to the second album? Or was it the same, and it's just that you guys have been writing and you're just improving because you're just doing it more and more?
Well, like I think if you look at the first record, it's like the songs are islands, and if you look at the second record, it's like Pangea. I think there's a much more. That's right. I just dropped Pangea.
You did. Feng Shui and Pangea.
Yeah, I know.
Feng Shui, Pangea.
In one,
this is actually this is an SAT prep course.
I think what we're gonna have to do underneath the video, we're gonna have to get dictionary.com and just have some words out there.
Like pop-up video Pangea.
The hot new EP from Glim Dropper, Thesaurus. Yeah. No, I mean, in other words, I think that Dan would show up with something complete, and then he would throw headphones on me and put a microphone in front of my amp and then zap me and say, go.
Okay.
And so that was how the first one went.
So he had the cattle prod ready to go.
He prodded away.
Okay.
And then
I recorded everything.
Yeah. And I wrote William Sport, and that was pretty much a finished composition, and so that was my little island. And you know what I mean? I think there was more of a sense of
but
isolated
you feel these
creativity.
songs tie together better as an album than Last Days of Analog.
Collaborative.
Yeah, I guess the difference being the songwriting versus the concept. The first album absolutely has a concept. I mean, it's titled "The Last Days of Analog." I'd say I still think I think there's like an equal presence of concept on both, but I think aesthetically, you guys might disagree, but I really liked the aesthetic relationship between the songs on the record we did most recently. Like I said, just trying to establish a Glim Dropper sound.
Did you set out to have the songs try to stay together, or was it just like, okay, we have this song and then this song sounds good?
It was kind of a secondary thing to try to draw it all together, because that was my own personal like hill to climb. Once we had all of this great music, I said, how can I, because even when we put the songs in order, I think of it. I mean, I'm from the school of Tommy and Quadrophenia and Dark Side of the Moon, where even if it doesn't come from the same place. I try to put it in a narrative.
Okay.
So, I don't know whether that's a blessing or a curse, but I'm trying to make the songs flow as if we were going to put this as a soundtrack to an imaginary movie. It would flow in that perspective.
Okay, very good. Let's go to song number 3. It's called Hangman. We'll do the same thing. We'll play it first and then come back and we'll talk about it, okay? We're hanging with the guys from Glim Dropper, Dan, Rob, and Ben, talking about their new album called Heartsick Phenomenon. The song is called Hangman, and this is yourlocalnote.com.
Hangman, come down from your gallows. I don't believe you anymore. You have taken me for granted. I should have shown you to the door. Lost in the arms of the morning. Even the tides have lost their way. Some things take longer than others. Despite what you wanted me to say, I know what to bring on Saturday. What would you like? Don't you worry about it anyway. Seen in the cage as warning, so it is written in the stars. Finding what can't be forgotten. Seems we have all been here before. I know what to bring on Saturday. Oh, what would you like? Don't you worry about it anyway. What was it like? We could sail around the 7 seas. We could make pretend it's 'cause of me.
The song is called Hangman. We are hanging with Glim Dropper, and we're talking about their album Heartsick Phenomenon. All right, guys, what is this song about? I mean, I guess it's sort of self-explanatory, or is there an inner or hidden meaning with this?
I'm going to preface it by saying this is we joke about it, but this is our Zeppelin 3 song.
Okay.
And if you're an oddity who's not familiar with Zeppelin 3, that was their rare acoustic record.
Okay.
So I'll just give that.
side.
I shouldn't call people oddities, but you
Yeah.
know what I'm saying. But anyway, go ahead.
If we were talking about Bowie, we could say space
It
oddities.
is space oddity.
But yeah, this was sort of the acoustic only track. I had come up with the basic form. Ben and I had worked out harmonies. Rob picked up the mandolin that he had built with his own 2 hands.
Nice.
And on there we also have Tracy Grammer on violin and Sheila Hershey on cello. And we knew that we're a very electric band, and we use lots of pedals and sounds and
Right.
delay, and we just wanted to have a song that just didn't necessarily fall into that category.
Okay.
So, I mean, honestly, the lyrics stems from a tarot card reading.
Okay.
The last card I got was the Hangman. So
And that's not a good card, is it?
it can be.
Oh, it can be.
Well, that's what I was told.
Okay. Yeah, I don't follow that stuff.
Maybe
My-
to soften the blow,
My life
though,
hasn't
make sure
been
you-
quite so smooth since then, but I
Okay.
won't blame the Hangman.
My wife likes to do that. I think she's gone to get readings and stuff. She says, "Don't you?" I'm like, "Nah, I don't care."
Yeah, well,
You know, I just don't. I don't look at it that way.
I see it as mere inspiration. I don't necessarily depend
well,
on it. But
you were able to get a song out of it, so
That's
it's a
right.
good thing.
yeah.
It's from that angle.
I will mention as well, on a little side note, because Dan mentioned two of our guest musicians, we also had a couple other guest musicians.
Mm-hmm.
We had Michael Ronstadt, who's a great cellist on the last song on the record called Another One.
Cello.
And we also had the lovely Beth Goldwater sang backups on
Nice.
both track 1, Heartsick Phenomenon, and she also sang backups on Night Doctor, which is track 3.
3. Hello.
Now, did you ask them to do this, or I mean, how did you meet these people? I mean, it's just through playing or through the studio. How did you get them involved in the album?
Well, we had specifically pertaining to Hangman, we had played some shows with other we played in Wilmington a lot. We had
Okay.
played some other shows with Wilmington artists, and there's a name that kept popping up is Sheila Hershey. She plays cello. She plays with a lot of different artists, so we would play a lot of different gigs, and she'd always show up. So
Okay.
we talked to her. Tracy Grammer is a folk singer, songwriter. She plays a lot of instruments. I've been playing as a sideman for her off and on for over 10 years.
Okay.
And then the other people, Michael Ronstadt was through another friend band of ours, Barnaby Bright. He had played with that. With them.
And he'd also been a regular at Morningstar. I had seen him record at Morningstar at random times.
He was their ringer, and appropriately so.
Yeah.
and then finally, Beth Goldwater, once again, is another musician that we've shared the stage with a couple times. And she just she has a very interesting voice, and
Yeah, she had a voice that really seemed to fit well. Even though we didn't sing live before this, although we have since then. Every time we saw her, we said, "Yeah, that would work really nice."
Now, you guys also are. You mentioned that you were playing with Tracy. You have a lot of side projects that you also do. How do you work that in? I mean, it sounds like you've got an incredibly busy schedule, all of you.
well, you know, as the side projects go, it really comes down to, you know, we have the priority of Glim Dropper.
Okay.
And then if there's available time or something hasn't been booked yet and we get the call. But most of the projects that we do side work on, we're not the only person to play that instrument in that group.
Okay.
So if we're not available, there's someone else.
They have
that
someone
can,
else.
yeah,
Okay.
can do it.
So it's just something to do just to kill some time.
Until Glim Dropper can be completely self-sufficient, we all have to find a way to while away the hours until the next opportunity comes along. And you know, I had said before we went on air, you know, I'm not ashamed. I play cover gigs. You know, I don't know any other way to say, okay, well, if I can't play an original show or I can't do something that is, dare I say it, artistically, you know, fulfilling, well, then I have to go play cover tunes for people.
Well, I mean, it's a job, right?
It is.
So what's the difference, you know, doing that than just another job during the day?
Right. I don't have to wash dishes or, you know,
Right.
cook food anymore.
Still doing
And-
what you love to do.
Yeah, I have to fill a schedule, and you know, Rob has done it, Ben's done it, we've all done it. It's just a matter of trying to balance it and trying to feel that you're not getting sucked into I guess having to do it.
Okay.
You do it because you can, and when you can play with people that you enjoy playing with, that's really what makes you want to do it. It's not about, oh, you know, I have to go play, you know, Sweet Home Alabama again tonight.
Okay. When you're out playing live, especially off the new album, what songs are getting really good response from the crowd?
Wow. I think, yeah, I'm
You keep track of
I'm
this
a very
stuff.
fussy barometer. When you watch me play, you'd never see my eyes, but I can see you.
Wet and windy.
Yeah, right. Well, it's funny because like a tune that I think is almost always well received because it's so quick, it's such a good 1-2 punch, is just Heartsick Phenomenon.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's 2 minutes and change. And so I think sometimes when you settle in at a rock club to play a ballad, people think potty break.
Right. Okay.
This is my big chance to go get a drink.
Yeah,
or
sure.
to go and hit on that girl, or
Yeah.
you know. And when the song isn't loud, you can conversate over it. And so I think that sometimes people are waiting for that social window. And because we live in a society where music is such wallpaper and it's so ever-present, I think it's really easy for people to think, you know, that there's a lull. Now it's time to do that thing where we go about our business over the music.
Right.
Yeah.
That's interesting you mentioned that because when I DJ'd in college at this club, the owner of the bar would come up every once in a while and he'd just give me the high sign, and that's when I played the ballad. So I'd clear the dance floor and they'd go to the bar. If he felt he wasn't selling enough, he'd just walk over, and he was a big guy. He was like 6'6", and he'd just give me the high sign, and I'd be like, okay. Never said no to him. He'd just pick me up and throw me out. But it's funny you take that into consideration, that people do that.
Yeah, well, I'd say conversely though, like the tune, you know, that tune Night Doctor, like people that are real serious long-time rock fans and people that have a sense of the historicity of rock music will come up and say, my God, this really sounds, excuse me, this really sounds like something narrative and something memorable.
Right.
And, you know, real serious rock fans seem to be really fond of them.
Mm-hmm.
And then the nice thing about Hangman is that does a nice job in acoustic spaces, because
Okay.
I think Philly has a real folk scene, and I think a lot of our music would kind of chase those people away fast. And so Hangman is, I think, inviting for them.
Okay.
You know, so I like that about it. So I guess because we're eclectic and because I'm terribly easy to bore, it's like a disease I have, I think it makes it a little easier to touch on a couple different
Yeah,
aspects.
I saw Rob trying to wake you up a few times during the interview. So
Yeah. Oh, no. Musically.
No, just kidding. Now that you have 2 albums, and you mentioned playing covers and things like that, when you're first starting out and you're playing more covers, do you find now playing less and less covers, or do you know your fans like some of the songs that you have covered in the past and you still want to keep them in there because they like the way you guys play them?
Well, as this trio, we don't really play a lot of covers. I mean, if we play a show, we will maybe play 1 or 2 covers, and they're mostly at the end, just as sort of, I don't know. I've always had this sort of maybe naive dream of, you know, doing a tour and playing a different cover song at the end every night, you know. So because you only have so many originals. I mean, obviously you tour to reach different people that don't get to see your original music. But at the same time, maybe there are people who do get to see a lot of your shows, and you know, people in our business who have accumulated hundreds of cover tunes can just sort of, you know, cycle them in and out. So we're not like, oh, well, we play the same tune at the end every night. It's going to be something a little bit different.
Okay, very good. Let's tell everyone where they can get your music.
Just give it to Laura over here. Well, first, our website is www.glimdropper.com. Our music is available through iTunes. It's available on Bandcamp.com. Amazon. CD Baby.
If they hear it twice, it's better.
Yeah, it's true. It can be streamed on Spotify. It can, and of course at shows we sell CDs.
We have real CDs you can get. You can order those through the website.
Put them right in your car and drive home and listen to that. It's great.
Yeah.
And of course we play it on Your Local Note.
I was going to say,
we figured you would have said that already.
The many valuable internet.
You can edit all this out and
radio.
Your Local Note.
No, we want you guys to sell
all of the independent radio. Yeah, we it's so tough now because I feel like you can how wide do you want to spread it now? I mean, you can sell it everywhere.
Everywhere, you really do.
I guess you have to, but
because not everyone's going to the same place because there's so many choices. I mean, that's the problem we're having right now in the industry. Is there's so many places now to go to find music. Radio has sort of just playing the hits now, and for local music, for new artists, you got the internet, which is great. It's a great outlet, but now you have everybody and their brother and cousin and sister who think they can record something. They're playing it.
Well, yeah, it's a bigger haystack now. It used to be a needle in a haystack, but now the haystack is so huge now,
right.
and everybody has, GarageBand or Logic or Pro Tools, and I mean, more power to them. I mean, it's funny. I was listening to a CD with Rob the other day. We were going down to a show, and I played a CD from probably 2005, and we were just amazed, like, wow, this doesn't sound good at all. But it was on the cusp of, it wasn't quite pedestrian to have all of the technology, but it wasn't quite you needed to have a record deal either.
Right.
But it was that weird middle ground where people were making music, and it was good, but I don't know. I mean, Rob's iPad can do more than the space shuttle in a 1988.
It's amazing. The technology is absolutely phenomenal. In fact, there's more technology in a car engine right now than what they used to get the men to the moon back in the 60s.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
you can't
it's...
give me the concha hawking, man.
And on the money side of things, there was an interesting statistic I heard recently, and it was in 1990, there were 10 bands making millions and millions of dollars.
Right.
And now there's millions of bands making tens of dollars,
Yeah.
because the market share, there's less market share because there's everyone, back then you saw it not only a record deal but a distribution deal.
Sure.
But anyone can have distribution now if you're willing to pay for it.
But the other issue though is you're getting a large segment of the population who doesn't want to pay for music.
Of course.
And they can find music. My nephews. They don't listen to radio, and they find music. I asked them point blank, where do you get your music? I got sites I can go to.
Yeah.
Right.
Where? I'm not telling you.
We had somebody buy our record, I think, off of Bandcamp a few weeks ago, and the email address was like .ru, which is a Russian email address, and I was like, okay, so we're going to be bootlegged in Russia now.
Okay.
I mean, it just, you just sort of expect it now.
Yeah.
People are going to take whatever you do, and it's so easy to duplicate. I mean, Amelia, how do you say her last name?
Scalise.
Yeah.
She posted the other day. She's like, okay, so these people have been selling my song, and I had no idea. I mean, and for somebody like that who we know personally, it's not even somebody that you just sort of hear about. It's somebody that first the 1 degree of separation. Who's like,
she was here a couple weeks ago.
Right.
So I mean, and that's the challenge now.
Right.
So, okay. All right, guys. When you get some more gigs lined up, you're going to let us know so we can get it on our concert calendar.
Indeed.
Then we've gone over where we can get your songs. Anything else that we've missed that we haven't promoted? I mean, you gave the shout out to all the people playing on your albums.
I'll shout out for my bandmate Ben. Congratulations. He won the second year in a row now. He won a Best Guitar Player in Wilmington Award.
Nice. Congratulations, Ben.
Yeah.
Thank you kindly.
Good job.
All right, I'd like to come back for a second hour and just like to exclusively dedicate it to that subject. So we're gonna check the books. We're gonna set that up. I think it's gonna be huge.
All right, let's wrap things up here, guys. Thank you again. Album sounds great. Great job on it, and good luck with it. And we're going to wrap things up with Second Sleep. Dan, tell us about that song.
Second Sleep, the song was many nights of arranging musical ideas, and the lyrics came from the concept that before the advent of electrical lights, that humans would sleep for a certain amount of time and wake up in the middle of the night and have sort of this, vaguely productive waking period, and then they would have their second sleep. And it just got me thinking that we're so close to that history, and we don't even realize it, that we should kind of adapt maybe to that a little bit more.
Very good. All right. We're going to wrap things up with Second Sleep, but just want to remind everyone that we will be having a brand new YLN Vidcast next week with a brand new band or artist. I don't even know off the top of my head, but we're going to have someone. And also, don't forget, we're streaming 24/7. Download our app for free. Just go to the stores, type in YLN. We've got the concert calendar that we update all the time. And let's see, what else? I'm trying to get everything in that we do. We also have the YLN Vidcast update too. So check that out. That's all on our site, yourlocalnote.com. Wrapping things up with Second Sleep, guys. Dan, Rob, Ben of Glim Dropper, thank you so much again for coming out.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. This is Second Sleep on yourlocalnote.com.
You're not amused by it. It's not something to teach you in school. You can't run from it. It's not black or white or yellow. They say we come from it. We make the sign of the cross to keep you safe. It's like a blunt summit. It doesn't make sense. Just another implied victim of the modern age. If you want me to be honest, I don't really know what time it is. Tonight we got just what you're after. The saints, the sinners, they sing from the rafters. The time, the space, well it just doesn't matter. Tonight we got just what you're after. Is it over before it begins? If you put this one on me, I will find out in my second sleep. I'm the one to save the better days. Tonight we got just what you're after. The saints, the sinners, they sing from the rafters. The time, the space, well it just doesn't matter. Tonight we got just what you're after.